New tonight at 5, a state Supreme Court ruling on a case involving a drug confession will affect how Hawaii law enforcement agencies conduct interrogations.
Our chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano polled each department about their current policy and what changes they're now making.
The ruling published last week mandates video and audio recordings when police are interrogating suspects who are under arrest.
A confession is a powerful piece of evidence, but if that in-station confession is not recorded with pictures and sound, it is no longer allowed in Hawaii.
It ensures that people are not wrongfully convicted based on false, inaccurate, misleading testimony by police officers.
The ruling stems from a 2021 drug case out of Kona. The police interview room was equipped with video recording equipment, but the camera was never turned on. The detective did not take notes either. But a week later, the report paraphrased and quoted the defendant, Charles Zufanti, who said at trial he was now being forced to testify to dispute the detective's version of the confession.
If an officer is not going to record a conversation and now becomes his word against the defendant's word, then you're kind of forcing that defendant not to remain silent anymore. You're making him or her get on a stand and say, I didn't tell him that.
The state high court said that recordings offer judges and juries better evidence compared to human memory. They're more reliable and help get to the truth. Both the American Civil Liberties Union Hawaii office and the Hawaii Innocence Project submitted arguments to the court ahead of the decision.
In this day and age, there is no excuse to not have some recording device at the police station. Outside of the police station, there's the feasibility standard, but the burden is on law enforcement to show that under the particular circumstances of a given situation, that the recording was not feasible.
In the field, body cameras or a phone can satisfy the requirement. H&N Investigates asked all the county police departments about their current policies and if changes were needed because of this. The Honolulu Police Department currently requires audio-only recordings for felony case interrogations unless it's a Class A felony. Then video is also required. Now, as a result of this ruling, the department is reviewing and revising procedures. The Kauai and Maui police departments already comply, requiring video and sound for all in-custody interrogations at the stations, and officers must use body cameras for those done in the field. A spokesperson for the Hawaii County Police Department says they do record, but it's not mandated. Given the court's decision, the department is adding it to their policy.
Also significant, the High Court made this retroactive, so some cases under appeal, even those still pending, could be affected. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.